wants to be engaging and productive. You start with a list of things you need. Modern facilities, communications, parking, all less than a couple of hours from Dublin. You'll find that on the Strand Hotel Limerick's website. But that's not the full story. A successful conference is more than meeting rooms. It's about the destination, energy, vitality and value. At the Strand Hotel Limerick, we can cater for up to 600 delegates. But that's not the full story. See strandlimerick.ie.
GetReady.ie, the career development specialist providing the best training for entry to your chosen public sector career. We're now taking bookings for exam and interview preparation courses for the current prison officer and Garda Síochána recruitment competitions. Log in now and book your place at GetReady.ie. GetReady.ie, maximising your potential.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome back to Thursday's Off the Ball. It is just gone 7:30, so as always it's time to talk to John Giles. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
So the big news today, the shock news, is that Zinedine Zidane is stepping down as Real Madrid manager after a fairly remarkable 2.5 years in charge of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but I do want to get your thoughts on the Champions League final first, because we haven't spoken to you since last Saturday's game, and it was a game that was remarkable in its own way. It feels hard to analyse the game tactically, as there were so many major talking points around it. I might throw some of them at you and get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Karius, the Liverpool goalkeeper,
yeah.
The first mistake when he rolled the ball off Karim Benzema,
yeah.
Is that just a freak moment that can happen, or is that type of catastrophe always possible when your goalkeeper just isn't at the required level?
I think your second calculation would be on the ball there, on the mark, Nathan. You know, great goalkeepers don't do that. And over the history of watching the game, okay, they can make mistakes now and again. All goalkeepers can make mistakes now, but they don't make a mistake like the first one, and very, very, very few of the second one that he made. I mean, the fact is, this is not the first time he made mistakes, Nathan. He has made mistakes ever since he came into the Liverpool team, and I think it's generally been recognised by supporters, players, pundits, that Karius is not a good goalkeeper. And Mignolet is not a good goalkeeper. Certainly not of the requirement that a team like Liverpool needs. I mean, you're going into a Champions League final like they were in the other night. You can't afford to have a goalkeeper who's capable of making the mistakes that he made the other night. So I would put a lot of the responsibility down to the manager, Nathan, in that.
In that he didn't recognise the problem earlier and go out and spend 30, 40, 50 million pounds and get a better replacement?
Exactly. I mean, he's been there for 2 years, and to have two goalkeepers like that, obviously he can make a mistake at any time. I think it's actually irresponsible of him. Now, I have a lot of time for Klopp as well, Nathan, in that the way that he plays, there's an excitement about it, there's an attractiveness about it. It can be very, very good with the players going forward and scoring the goals that they score. It can be absolutely brilliant. But you have to be realistic. And I think with Klopp, in terms of defending, he's not realistic. I think he honestly believes they're going to attack for 90 minutes and they're going to score loads of goals. So therefore, there's no emphasis then on defending. Particularly bad goalkeepers, Nathan. You just can't get away with that. You know, I had an experience at Leeds. I played with a goalkeeper called Gary Spraker, made loads of mistakes and cost us loads of trophies. So you can't carry any players when you're going to be champions, but particularly dodgy goalkeepers. Goalkeepers should be saving your matches, not costing your matches. I mean, good goalkeepers won't lose your matches. They might not win your matches, but they won't lose your matches. Great goalkeepers actually win your match. You look at De Gea and Ederson now playing for Manchester City and
Ederson at City and Petr and players like that.
Yeah, they save your matches, and you could see that this Czech playing when he was playing with Chelsea and Arsenal actually save your matches. You can't afford to have a goalkeeper that loses your matches. Now, I think it's been obvious to a lot of people, and I'm repeating myself now, that Karius hasn't been good enough. Mignolet is not good enough for a team to be going on winning trophies, especially for Liverpool and in any of the big teams. And again, some of the stuff he plays, I think, is very exciting, it's very good, but there's too much emphasis on what they're going to do, and not enough emphasis, hardly any emphasis, in my opinion, on defending in a way that champion teams should defend.
Do coaches then often have a blind spot when it comes to goalkeepers? Because you mentioned Gary Sprake. From what I know, he was pretty much there the entire time Don Reevy was in charge. So
well, he wasn't there all the time. He was there for the first 4 years. I think after that, maybe a bit longer, and then he was left out then for a long time.
Did you feel at that time, though, that almost the goalkeeper was undermining the team, that there was a nervousness amongst players in the team because you simply couldn't trust the goalkeeper?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think there are different circumstances all the time because why managers do certain things. And I think with Don was having a bad time when he first took over manager of Leeds, Nathan. And he then took a gamble and put a good few young lads in. Paul Reaney, Paul Madeley, Terry Cooper, Sprakey, and one or two other players. And they did really well for him. And Sprake played very well in the early part of his career. And for some reason, I think he lost his nerve. And Don, I think, was being loyal to him. And too loyal to him. Don wasn't really realistic enough to leave him out at a time when he should have done. In fact, he left him out when we played a very big match in semi-final of the Cup at Sheffield against Birmingham City, when he left Sprake out that morning, and he never got back in the team again.
Wow.
We had a goalkeeper called David Harvey, who was a solid goalkeeper. He wasn't a great goalkeeper, but he didn't make mistakes. He didn't make silly mistakes, Nathan. So he then played for the rest of the time. So, different reasons for why managers stick with certain players. I don't know why Klopp sticks with Karius or Mignolet for that particular, or either of them. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it's definitely wrong.
A lot was made of the Liverpool players not going over and sympathising or putting the arm around Loris Karius on the full-time whistle. He cut quite an isolated figure for a couple of minutes. Is that just professional football, that at times when you're devastated, you sit there, you wallow in your own devastation almost, or is it possibly a sign of a greater issue?
Well, it could well be. It's unusual for players not to console players who have made mistakes. I mean, I played in a team and made mistakes, missed a penalty. I'd got consolation from the players. I don't know what the background is there, but there were rumours afterwards that I heard or read that he was a bit of a flash character anyway. He mightn't have been putting it in on the training ground, so he mightn't have been popular with the players. And I think an attitude could be, well, you got what you deserve. You're not putting it in, you're not putting the work in, and that could be the case.
So that actually it is simply a case of the players have no sympathy, that you've cost us ultimately a Champions League medal.
Well, if he was a hard worker and he was really dedicated to his game, Nathan, and he made a mistake like that, you would get sympathy. The point I'm making, I don't know. I'd say there would be a lot of scepticism among the players anyway, that he wasn't putting it in. He was a bit flashy, a bit big-headed. And to be quite honest, why he stayed on the ground, Karius, after the match, I do not know, Nathan. I think if I was in that position, I'd get off the pitch as soon as I possibly could and get away from the Liverpool supporters. Actually stayed on the pitch and went to the Liverpool supporters at the end. Did you notice him doing that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went over and put his hands up and apologised to the Liverpool supporters.
Pitch. The Liverpool supporters didn't want to have anything to do with him. Got him off the pitch. But I'd say that my experience with players, if you're a genuine player with the players and you make a mistake or you miss a penalty, they would console you. If you were a bit big-headed, a bit flashing that, they'd be less likely to do so. And I think that would be the case there.
Sergio Ramos was another big talking point out of the game. He's sort of floated between being public enemy number one and been the pantomime villain over the past week. Where do you stand on the tackle on Mo Salah that ultimately ended his game? Do you think he went into that challenge with the intention of injuring Mo Salah?
I don't think he would go in with the intention of injuring Mo Salah in the way that he did. I think there was a bit too much made of that it was like he was a judo man and he caught him around the neck and he pushed him down and he knew he was doing the damage to his shoulder. I don't believe that. But when you're playing against an exceptional player like Salah, when you're in his vicinity, if you can get a hard tackle in, Nathan, you'll do it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Not on Mo Salah, but on anybody, but Mo Salah particularly because he's been scoring so many goals and being such a terrific player this season. Of course you would. It wouldn't have to be the centre-half that's doing it. You know, if you're near a player of his stature, well, in my experience, most players would get into a heavy tackle with him.
We've had this debate about lots of footballers in recent years, and Liverpool fans should know it well because it came up about Luis Suarez at times, about pushing the boundaries, about potential cheating at times, and whether the end justifies the means. And Sergio Ramos is questioned a lot, but ultimately he's one of the most successful players in the history of the game. 4 Champions Leagues, a World Cup, 2 European Championships, La Liga titles, one of the great defenders. Do you look at him and think, actually, yeah, he's everything you want in a footballer?
Of course. He's a centre-half. You've got to get stuck in. There's a physical element to the game, as we know, Nathan, and if you can intimidate an opponent, you'll do so. And don't forget, in this way, he might have been a horror to the Liverpool supporters. You ask the Real Madrid supporters about him. I guarantee you, after that match, he was a real hero to them. Just as a Liverpool centre-half, if they got stuck into Ronaldo and he had to go off, he'd be a hero as well. That's the way it is in the game. I don't think Ramos set out to break his shoulder or damage his shoulder. I'd say he definitely got stuck in to intimidate as much as he possibly could, but I don't think he'd be good enough to be able to pick out a certain tackle or tackle in a certain way to do his shoulder. I think that was exaggerated. But most centre-halves, if you have a centre-half who doesn't get stuck in, you want to know why, Nathan, as a fellow player. Or that's what they're there for. That's what's, defenders. And all players are there. If you can get 11 players on the pitch who can get stuck in and get stuck in a real way, that's what you want. That's the game.
Does it in a way touch upon what has made Ramos so great, that actually you look at Mo Salah this season, an almost unprecedented season in English football, the form he brought into the final, that Ramos looked at that situation and thought, actually, I'm going to go for him. I'm not afraid of this guy. I'm going to get close to him. I'm going to get involved in a wrestle, because there is a risk there that actually Salah just uses his pace, just gets away from him, leaves him for dead.
Yeah, it's all part of the game. And then when you're sitting in the dressing room and you know you're playing against a terrific player, that's what you say. Look, you can't give this fella any room. We've got to get stuck into him. And you can play a lot of players. You get stuck in, they pack it in, Nathan. A lot of other players don't. But you want to try them out. That's part of the game. Like, as a centre half, he's got to get stuck in. If he doesn't get stuck in, you'd be saying, "Why? What are you big fancy Dan of a centre half?" You got to get stuck in there. This is the game. I'm not saying all centre halves go out to injure people or break people's legs or that. I don't think Ramos went out to break his shoulder or crack his shoulder, but he certainly went out to get stuck into the tackle. All players, if you get every player, you want every player doing that, not just the centre half.
I get the sense he's the type of player you wouldn't have minded playing alongside.
Of course. What you get with how you judge players, Nathan? If you hate playing against him, then you really want him to play with you, and you respect him. The opposition, if you're playing, like when I was playing against a fella, I played against Peter Storey. He was a bit of an animal playing. He used to mark me, but I didn't like him, but I admired him. He was good at what he did, and he was going to get stuck into me, and I was going to get stuck into him. Never said a word to each other. Just do it. That's part of being part of the game. In every way, you have to do that. If he could put me out, I was a skillful player. If he could put me out of the game with heavy tackles and that, he'd be a hero with the Arsenal fans and the fellow players.
Yeah,
my job was to get back at him.
Probably quite noticeable as well that we haven't heard too many of the Liverpool players actually raising any issue with what Sergio Ramos did during that game.
It's part of the
understand.
Game, Nathan. They'd admire. They might not like the Real Madrid player. They really did, but they'd admire him. I wish we had somebody doing that,
Just before we get on to Zidane and Real Madrid and winning 3 in a row then, I said it's hard to judge tactically, but Liverpool must look at the result and look at the performances of some of their key players, particularly the defence, Dejan Lovren, the level they got to, and still they couldn't win the game. When Mo Salah went off, was that the turning point in the game, that suddenly that outball that maybe made Henderson and Milner and Wijnaldum in midfield look like better players, that was gone? Was that ultimately the turning point?
No, definitely not, Nathan. think it was a turning point. It wasn't good for Liverpool. But the goalkeeper didn't have to let in 2 easy goals. Whether Salah was on the pitch or wasn't on the pitch, he did that. If he doesn't do stupid mistakes like that, they're still drawing the game 1-0. So you can't legislate for that. Of course, it was a bad point for Liverpool that Salah had to go up as an outstanding player. But the goalkeeper didn't have to do what he did because Salah was off the pitch, Nathan. You know, it reduced Liverpool's chances, I know that, but they didn't have to lose the match. Actually, it gave the match away.
Yeah.
You know, Madrid didn't have to win the match because Salah was off. The goalkeeper gave them 2 goals. So if Salah was on the pitch, he probably would have done the same thing anyway. But because Salah's off the pitch doesn't mean he has to do it. He should be a hero. He should be saving them, not giving the blooming game away. That's what happened. You can't do that.
John, stay with us. We're going to take a very quick break. 53106 is the text number. We're going to talk about Zinedine Zidane's departure from Real Madrid next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
It's the ultimate food lovers festival. Taste of Dublin, inspired by Neff, returns to the Ivy Gardens from the 14th to the 17th of June. Join the summer's biggest and best foodie event, led by world-class chefs, with top restaurants, interactive masterclasses, incredible drinks and live entertainment. Join the Food Lovers Playground at Taste of Dublin, Ivy Gardens, June 14th to 17th. Book now. Tickets on sale at tasteofdublin.ie. Booking fees apply.
At Cara Nurseries Nace, we bring the designer garden to you without the designer price tag. We have one of the biggest ranges of trees in Ireland and a wide range of specimen trees and plants, just like you'll see in the show gardens. Espaliers for screening, trees for privacy and lots of design advice. Follow our show garden coverage at caranurseries.ie, the place garden centres recommend.
We can't guarantee sunshine this weekend, but we can guarantee 5 days of great deals at the Harvey Norman Bank Holiday Weekend Sale, with massive savings on appliances, technology and interiors, like up to €250 off laptops, up to 30% off tablets, up to 35% off fridge freezers, and up to 30% off coffee machines. But hurry, these deals are for a limited time only, and as always, we've matched all of our competitors' bank holiday prices. The Harvey Norman Bank Holiday Weekend Sale, now on, in store and online.
Go! If you had 48 hours with a Mini, what would you get up to? Do you follow your head or your heart? Why not both? Turn a different corner. Find a new path. Take off on a mini adventure. Bring the whole family. And pick up a few friends along the way. Whatever challenge your lifestyle throws up, there's a Mini in the 182 range to match. Meet your match. Book your 48-hour test drive on mini.ie and find exceptional offers across the entire range.
GetReady.ie, the career development specialist providing the best training for entry to your chosen public sector career. We're now taking bookings for exam and interview preparation courses for the current prison officer and Garda Síochána recruitment competitions. Log in now and book your place at GetReady.ie. GetReady.ie, maximising your potential.
Muscular pain can last all day. Introducing new Nurofen Durance. Ireland's first non-prescription 24-hour medicated pain plaster delivers ibuprofen continuously, right where it's needed, helping to keep you pain-free all day. Nurofen Durance. Up to 24-hour relief for muscle and joint pain. Nurofen Durance 200mg medicated patch is indicated for the short-term symptomatic treatment of local pain in acute muscular strains. Always read the label.
When it comes to uniforms, the early bird beats the school rush. So before the water fights and the summer holiday sleepovers commence, get them ready for next term. Then, let the fun begin. 20% off school uniforms in-store and online now. M&S, spend it well. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. John Giles is still on the line. So, John, a bit of a bolt from the blue today. Real Madrid called a press conference for midday with Zinedine Zidane, where he came out and announced that he is leaving the club. And what a job he has done over the past 2.5 years. 3 Champions League trophies, a La Liga title, a Spanish Super Cup, 2 Club World Cups, 2 European Super Cups. There's a way to go out, there's a time to go out, and he's probably picked the moment.
Oh, definitely, Nathan. He's done a great job. I always thought he was a reluctant coach, to be quite honest. I mean, he seemed to be happy to me when he was in charge of the junior team, and it was as if he was forced into it at that particular time. Not forced into it, but certainly wasn't chasing the job. And what I think would influence his decision now, because on the week before the actual game, there was talk about whether they were going to keep him or sack him.
Yeah.
That's what I found incredible about it. And I think he'd be in a position, having done what he'd done, I'd say he would be a financially secure individual. I don't think he had any great ambitions to be the coach of Real Madrid, although he did a terrific job. To be quite honest, in many ways, I'm not surprised, Nathan. I think he's thought, well, I've done my job now. I've done a really good job, and I could be under threat. He could be under threat at the club, Nathan. You never know at Real Madrid. I'm getting out of this now while I'm ahead of the game.
Well, I thought his press conference was very interesting today on that, where he seemed to be very honest about some of the issues that they faced this season, particularly in the league, which I know you've touched upon over the last few weeks. He said, listen, maybe it's a mistake, but I do feel it's time. If I don't think we can keep winning, then it is time. How can I ask more from these players? Big players, they need a change. If I was the manager here next season, it would have been tough for us to win trophies. You saw in the Cup this season, and I can't forget our domestic campaign that easily. It seems to be a real honesty there of actually.
I didn't actually see that statement, Nathan. I think it was you told me before. Well, I saw it. I heard today he was gone, but I didn't see any statement, and I think that sums it up for him. I mean, this is an intelligent guy who's been a great player. He's done a great job for Real Madrid. Why? And I think also they are on the slide, Nathan. I don't think they weren't great last week against Liverpool by any means. I mean, the game was given to them in many ways. So I think he would recognise he's having trouble with Bale, we know already. Is Ronaldo not as good as he used to be? He would have to face all those problems next year. Whereas at the moment, he gets out, having won the Champions League and other trophies, as you said there, in the last few seasons, with his reputation totally intact, and he can leave it behind him.
He's one of the greatest players of all time as well, and has followed it up then in management. And as you say, you would have to assume is financially secure, that he doesn't need to go and take another job if he doesn't want one, maybe an international job at some stage, maybe a big money gig at Paris Saint-Germain may take his fancy as time goes on. It's strange though that with 3 Champions League trophies in a row, he doesn't get the plaudits that, say, a Pep Guardiola got. Is that down to the style of football that maybe with Guardiola's Barcelona team at their peak, he sort of transformed the way we looked at football, whereas Zidane's brilliance seemed to be actually in somehow cajoling all these Galacticos, these geniuses, into producing on the pitch at the same time?
Yeah, well, whatever way he did it, he did a brilliant job doing it. You couldn't dare question his record in any way. Winning 3 European champions on the trot, for example, that's history, which was absolutely brilliant. But don't forget, he was a junior coach of the juniors there for a few years, and seemed at that time to be happy doing it. I don't ever remember making a play for the job when the job was available with other coaches there before him. He seemed to be happy doing what he was doing, Nathan. So I don't think he has this great ambition to be one of the great coaches, although his record is very, very good as a coach. But I don't think he had the ambition to really stay in the game like Wenger did in 20-odd years. I don't think he ever had that. And I think he's sensible enough to recognise this team needs rebuilding. They definitely need rebuilding, Real Madrid. So I'm happy to get out and live my life in a way that I want to live it. I don't want to be in football all my life, as some of the people do. I don't think he's like that. I think he's a man who will go his own way, do what he's done, and be satisfied with his life.
When you look then at what they've achieved over the last 3 seasons in the Champions League, what's the one thing that stands out about this Real Madrid team?
Well, they had outstanding players, Nathan. I think the players are getting older now. I don't think Modric was as good. I think Ronaldo might be on his way out. A few other players are not quite what they were, but they had great players. I mean, look at Bale, for example. Cost them 80 million, and he couldn't get into team well, he wasn't picked in the first 11 with Zidane at the last weekend. And that's an £80 million player, and scored the goals that he did, a spectacular goal that he's capable of scoring. But I think they're going to need some rebuilding, and I think Zidane knows that, and I don't think he's up for that, Nathan. I mean, they finished 15, 16, 17 points behind
17 behind Barcelona, yeah.
That's not Real Madrid. And I think they are on the wane, and I think he recognises that and doesn't want to be part of the rebuilding programme that could ruin the record that he has now. I mean, he can go out with his head held high. One of the great managers. Nobody else has won the Champions League 3 times on the trot. I mean, the old Real Madrid team, when it was first the European Cup, actually won it 5 times on the trot. The first 5 times it was there. But that was a knockout competition. It wasn't a league like it is today.
Yeah.
So, you have to give him full credit for doing what he did.
Speaking of rebuilding, and we'll have to keep this tight enough, we can chat a bit more about it over the coming weeks, and I feel we've spoken about it a lot already. Ireland playing the USA on Saturday night. They were beaten by France 2-0. Did we learn anything new about Martin O'Neill and maybe where Ireland are going over the next couple of years?
Well, we learned that the way it was the other night, it's not good enough, Nathan. I think that actually, I think when you're playing or rebuilding, as Martin O'Neill has to rebuild now, actually you're better playing. Say, if you're bringing, I wouldn't bring any more than 3 new lads in at a time. Now I know there's been injuries end of season and all that, but I would pick the first 8 of the best players you've got, along with 3 newcomers, and tell the newcomers before the match that whatever happens, you're not going to be taken off. You're going to play the 90 minutes. So you actually learn something from the new guys playing with the established players. Because if you put a lot of new players in together, Nathan, it's not fair on them, because they should be, the better the players you play with, the better chance you have of playing yourself. So give the 3 lads a chance to do it. Whereas the other night and the Turkey's match, there's loads of changes. It was 3 at the back against Turkey. So I didn't learn anything about the Turkey match looking at it. Not that I have to learn, and I didn't learn much about the players the other night. And that's what these matches are for, because they are sort of practice matches. But you have to be learning something from them. I mean, all I hear is, well, we didn't hold the ball enough, and we didn't do this, we didn't do that. But you've got to pick the team and give the new lads a chance. And I think the other night, there was too many changes, and the lads didn't really get a chance against a very good team. You must remember. But these are practice matches. But you've got to be learning from them.
Yeah, so they made 6 substitutions during the game. There were a whole host of players at the start. What you'd actually like to see is 3-4 players play the full 90 minutes and maybe keep 2 or 3 of those players for the USA and give them another 90 minutes.
Exactly. So you're learning something from it, Nathan. You're learning, and the better the players. You see, we had enough fairly regular players there to play. Start with 8 of them the other day, and put whatever 3 new lads you have, put them in. So they're playing with the experienced players. Now you can see what they can do with the experienced players. Right, and you guarantee before they start, because all lads coming in are nervous. But in my opinion, if you say to them, look, you go out and you play, do your best. You're going to play for 90 minutes, regardless of how you're playing. I'm going to keep you on for 90 minutes, rather than players going to think, oh God, I have to perform here. I have to do some. It's extra pressure on them, and it's not. I think that you could well do without it. And then the next match, and then you learn with those 3 players, what can they do with the regular players? You know what they can do. And then in the next match, you can put 2 of them in again, or 3 of them in again, and confirm what you think you've learned in the previous match. So you're learning all the time. And the more matches you have, the more you're going to learn. But if you're putting 6 and 7 players on during the game, I don't think you're going to learn. I don't think you're going to learn anything, to be quite honest.
John, great to talk to you as always. We won't talk to you on the phone next Thursday. We will meet you in person, because you're going to be joining us in Vicar Street for our live show next Thursday night in association with Boyle
Sports. Looking forward to it, Nathan.
Yeah, so we've got a brilliant night lined up. Myself and Kev are going to be hosting. We're going to have John with us as well, a special Euro 88 panel, Ronnie Whelan, Kevin Moran, and of course the man who put the ball in the England net, Ray Houghton. And we've exclusively announced today as well, we're going to be joined by 3 Celtic legends as well. John Hartson, Alan Thompson and Jackie McNamara will join us at Vicar Street. We're going to look back on their run to the UEFA Cup final in 2003 and chat about Martin O'Neill as well. You can get your tickets now at offtheball.com/events. John, thanks a lot for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Nathan. Bye.
Join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter.
At Bruce Betting, we're celebrating 40 years as one of Ireland's leading bookmakers with the launch of our brand new website and iOS app. Packed with features and easy to use, the new Bruce Betting app includes ACCA insurance, cash out and live casino. Bruce Betting, giving you more. In store, online and now on your phone. Please gamble responsibly.
It's all fun and games this bank holiday weekend at Appliances Delivered. The fun is in choosing which incredible value appliance to order, and the game is Beat the Clock, where every 6 hours Appliances Delivered will offer a different, unbelievable deal, and you have to grab that bargain before time runs out. Better be quick though, each deal only lasts for 6 hours, and when it's gone for next day delivery. Time is ticking, so beat the clock this bank holiday weekend, only at appliancesdelivered.ie. Why pay more? Terms and conditions apply.
This is a message for all hard hat companies employing large numbers of contract workers on site. Making sure they're safe and compliant is your responsibility. Inishify makes managing your contractor inductions easy. With a simple-to-use online system, find out how Inishify can save you time and money. For help with your site, see our site and request a free demo today. Visit contractorsafety.ie now. That's contractorsafety.ie.
Get comfortable investing with Irish Life. Over 60,000 people in Ireland have already invested in Irish Life Maps, our multi-asset portfolio funds on our investment plans. Start your investment journey today. Talk to your financial broker or advisor or search for Irish Life Maps. Information correct as of April 2018. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hi, I'm Brendan Kavanagh, CEO of GDPRcourse.com. GDPR became law on Friday, May 25th. Are you worried that your business, volunteer organisation or club is at risk of being fined? We now run daily accredited GDPR practical implementation courses at our nationwide training facilities. This course gives members of your organisation tasked with GDPR the practical tools to implement and maintain GDPR compliance. Don't get ripped off by expensive consultants. Go to GDPRcourse.com.
So you've decided it's an SUV for 182. But which one is the one for you? How about the German SUV with sleek design, uncompromised performance and intelligent safety that makes it the perfect fit for your family? The Opel Grandland X. And when you make the smart choice and choose the Grandland X, we give you even more choice, like 0% PCP or HP finance. Auf Wiedersehen interest. Or €2,500 scrappage. Wunderbar. Or 5 years free servicing. Keine Problem. The impressive Opel Grandland X and an equally impressive 182 offer? Well, that's just the German in us. Visit your local Opel dealership for more. Opel. The future is everyone's. Terms and conditions apply.
My name's Robert. I'm 52. I was working in an office and one of the management team started to bully me. I shared it with my brother. He said to me, Rob, no matter what he says to you, you are still the incredible brother that I know you are.
When we go through tough times, little things can make a big difference to your mental health. Visit yourmentalhealth.ie. Brought to you by the HSE.
Here at M&S, we're committed to lowering our prices on the things you buy most often. That's why from this month, we're introducing M&S for Less. With M&S for Less, we're bringing down the prices of a huge range of your favourite products. The same delicious food for a smaller price. Lower prices have never tasted so good. M&S for Less.
On 106 to 108 FM and at newstalk.com. This is News Talk.
Good evening, I'm Stephen Murphy. 2 15-year-old boys have died after getting into difficulty while swimming in County Clare. The teenagers were part of a group that were swimming at a quarry earlier. Fiona Ash reports.
At around 3:30 this afternoon, Gardaí and emergency services were called to an incident involving a group of young people at a quarry in Knockinanean in Ennis. A number of people who were swimming had gotten into difficulty. The 2 teenagers were recovered from the water by the Coast Guard Rescue 115 helicopter and CPR was performed. They were airlifted to University Hospital Limerick in a critical condition, but Gardaí have now confirmed that the 2 15-year-old boys, believed to be from Ennis, have died. Their names won't be released until family members have been notified.
In other news, the State Claims Agency say they're managing Emma Vic-Vahuna's case as expeditiously as possible. She's seeking damages for an alleged misreading or misdiagnosis of a smear test following the cervical check scandal. An expedited hearing date of June the 29th has been set for her legal action against the HSE. The US President's administration has announced plans to impose tariffs on some imports from the EU, Canada and Mexico from midnight. Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary says there will be a 25% tariff on imported steel and 10% on aluminium. They were originally announced in March before Washington granted exemptions, but officials now say not enough progress has been made in talks. Finally, the government is looking for the public's opinion on the personal possession of illegal drugs. It's launched a consultation to see what people think of the current law and what alternatives could be considered. The issue is being examined to see if a criminal conviction for possessing a small amount of drugs is appropriate. The working group will make recommendations to the Minister for Health and Justice and Equality within 12 months. That's it for now. More at 9.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. With our high quality bedding at low cost prices, you're bound to sleep soundly at the new look Des Kelly Interiors.
Warm and humid tonight with some cloud and hazy sunshine. It'll be another mild night with temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Hi, welcome back to Thursday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you alongside Johnny Ward until 10 o'clock this evening. We're going to talk hurling shortly. Tommy Walsh is going to join us on the line to look ahead to 4 big games in the Leinster and Munster Championship. Also later in this hour, we'll be joined by Brendan Fanning to get the story of Joey Carberry's move to Munster. And on the football show, Dominic Fifield will bring us behind the scenes at Chelsea, where there's a whole lot going on with Roman Abramovich and his visa, and ultimately it resulted today with the news that Chelsea have decided not to go ahead with their new stadium, what would have been the fanciest new stadium in all of London. Roman Abramovich has thrown his toys out of the pram and said no, it's not happening now, so we'll talk about that. And also to Graham Hunter about the news that Zinedine Zidane has stepped down as Real Madrid manager. So all that to come. Will is here as well. What's happening?
Well, Joey Carberry says he's endured sleepless nights, Nathan, after deciding to leave Leinster to join their rivals Munster for next season. The 22-year-old, who is set to sign a 2-year contract with the Reds, insists he's opting to move purely for rugby reasons. Carberry wants regular game time at out half ahead of next year's Rugby World Cup and says he's excited to get that opportunity at Munster. Head coach Joe Schmidt feels getting experience playing each week at 10 can help him develop.
A great point.
Yeah, that's what he would have said.
It's what he meant.
Yeah,
I could feel it. That's what you should just do in future. I think that was a good moment.
Me, so I haven't really had too much time to digest it personally, but it's a decision that Joey's taken a bit of time over, and certainly, while it may have been mentioned, it doesn't seem to have affected his performances too much. I think he's played really well, and I'd understand why Leinster would be desperately keen to hang on to him, and why Munster would feel that it's a huge bonus for them. The initial conversation with Leo, with myself and David Nusifora was not the best timing for any of us. It certainly wasn't where I wanted to be at the time, but I had a job to do, and all we asked was, could we ask, is there any interest for Ross or for Joey to go up to Ulster? Because Ulster were looking at the time at a foreign option. They needed to know by midday the following day, and so we had to see if there was any chance at all that one of our local number 10s were interested. And if there was no interest, then it was probably a different story. But there was a bit of interest from Joey at the time, and then he mulled that over, and I think he got an approach from Munster in the interim, and it kind of digressed then into a different conversation.
Ireland captain Rory Best won't be going on the summer tour of Australia. The Ulster hooker suffered a hamstring injury. Munster's Niall Scannell comes in for those 3 games against the Wallabies. Marco Silva is finally the Everton manager. He's joined on a 3-year deal at Goodison Park. It's 6 months after they first tried to tempt him away from their Premier League rivals Watford. Zinedine Zidane says he's quit Real Madrid because the players need a new voice. Just 5 days after winning the Champions League, a 3rd straight year that they had won the trophy under his management. Serena Williams has recovered from losing the first set of her second-round match to square her game against Australian Ashley Barty at 1-all. The 23-time slam winner Williams is now 4 games to 2 up in that deciding 3rd set as well, and looking good to win it. Earlier, the world number 1s Rafa Nadal and Simona Halep all went through to round 3. Rory McIlroy 1 under after 6 holes of his opening round at Golf's Memorial in Ohio. Shane Lowry's in the clubhouse after a 1-over round of 73. The leader's there at 7 under par currently. Tiger Woods, 5-time winner at the event previously, had 5 birdies on the back 9 to salvage an even par round of 72. Graham McDowell's best of the hours, 3 shots off the lead after a 5 under opening round 66 at the Italian Open. 3 shots off the lead. Paul Carrington level into day 2 with Paul Dunne 2 under par.
What's the key to getting the nickname Horse?
Being from Carlow.
There's another horse, Gavin Horse Devlin, who works in Mickey Hart's backroom team.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't look like he's 6'5" and a beast of a man.
It's a horse with
What's
his words.
What's the name for the Carlo lad who's called Horse? Horse Lawler.
Horse Lawler, yeah.
Horse Lawler. Who
instrumental at the weekend, yeah.
Here, what a moment for Horse Lawler. But Gavin, Horse, Devlin, they're killing each other from the inside in Tyrone now. They have hit back at Sean Kavanagh's criticism of Mickey Hart's style of management. This is in the Irish News. So Kavanagh's been pretty outspoken on this show, on the Sunday Game, about their failures over the last couple of years, how maybe Mickey Hart was somewhat autocratic, how a lot of the forwards weren't allowed to play the game and the style that suited them. It hasn't gone down well, as you would imagine, amongst the Tyrone camp. Devlin has expressed surprise at his former teammates' analysis of Tyrone. He said, I know Sean was the captain of the team for a number of years. I didn't see myself as a great player, but I played in a number of successful teams. Any team I was involved in always had great captains, and any one of those captains, whether it was Dooher, Canavan or McAnallen, they would have said something if they felt it wasn't right. He goes on to say, and it gets harsher and harsher and harsher for poor old Sean Kavanagh. He said, it's just my opinion on it. I wouldn't sit and keep my mouth shut. I've had a number of conversations with Sean. He's never mentioned anything about the style of play or what we should or shouldn't do. If he thought something wasn't right, as captain, why didn't he come and have a conversation with us rather than saying it in an RTE studio? That's my opinion on it. The captains we've had in the past, I've no doubt they would have come and said it. We've been very close in recent years. This is the key point. We didn't get over the line to win All-Ireland. Maybe that's what we were missing. That calibre of captain.
I don't think you could call last year very close.
Oof. No, they were battered off the park by Dublin.
They were beaten after 10 minutes against Dublin. Joe Brawley's article was very interesting on him. He didn't leave any stone unturned in terms of the manager for life, as he called Mickey Hart.
Nope. And listen, Tyrone have to let the football do the talking now. Saturday week against Meath. I would like Horse as the nickname. I don't know why I was missing that as...
I have a mate called Horse. I think he was called Horse because he called everyone else Horse. So we just called him Horse.
Howie Horse.
Genuinely, yeah.
Howie Horse. So everyone just called him Horse. All right. Proper horse of a man on the line now. Tommy Welch.
Nathan, how are you doing?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good now.
What was your nickname in the Kilkenny camp?
I didn't have one.
Didn't need one.
They weren't brave enough.
No nickname, thank God.
So we got a cracking weekend of hurling yet again. We say it every Thursday now because the new championship is brilliant for us neutrals. So 2 games in Leinster, 2 games in Munster. In Leinster on Saturday evening, it is Wexford against Galway. Wexford who've won their opening game. Galway 2 from 2. That's at 5 o'clock at Wexford Park. And then on Sunday, it is the big one really because it's Dublin against Offaly, both of them looking for their first win. Essentially we feel the losers are going to go down to the Joe McDonagh Cup. So that one throws in at 3 o'clock at Parnell Park. And in the Munster Championship, 2 unbeaten sides meet on Saturday evening at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It's Cork against Limerick. And then on Sunday at 4 o'clock at the Gaelic Grounds, it is Waterford